Hey there, thank you for coming back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, welcome. In today's video, we'll be taking a quick look at the new Pinkology palette from the Holika Holika My Fave Mood Eye Palette range. As usual, I'll be reviewing the formula as well as swatch all the shades, and also comparing this palette to some other palettes I have in my collection. The Holika Holika Pinkology palette is currently being retailed for almost 24,000 Korean won, which is about $21 US. This palette is the newest My Fave Mood Eye palette, and it is a pink theme palette which smells like peach tea. Out of the 9 shades, we have 6 matte shades. These shades are Baby Ballerina, Pink Vibe, Brownie, Dolly, Shelly, and Hint of Pink. With the exception of the shade Brownie, 5 out of these 6 shades are in the pink or corally pink color family, yet I did not think that any of them looked too cool nor too warm, and I expect that they should look pretty good on both cool and warm undertone skins. The remaining 3 shades in the Pinkology palette are all shades that contain shimmer or glitters, but all 3 have different formulation. The first shade is Tutu, which is a pink champagne shimmer that contains very fine shimmer particles. This shade is very smooth, and it is a very good lower lash line highlight. Next, we have the shade Blink. This is a magenta coral glitter shade with densely packed glitter particles of various sizes. This can act both as a topper shade, or if you like the lower lash line glitter look, this can do that as well, as it is a very smooth glitter with very little fallout. Next, we have the shade Rosemary. This is a dry rose matte base with fine silver shimmer. Unlike the shade Tutu and Blink, there is a little bit of fallout with this shade, and it is also slightly harder to blend it. Overall, in terms of shade composition, even though Pinkology is a pink theme palette, there are enough shades out of these 9 shades available with a corally undertone that this palette can be quite warm tone friendly as well. Let's now compare Pinkology to the other 2 existing palettes in the My Fave Mood Eye Palette range and see how Pinkology color story and formulation differs from Moony and Daisy. Next to Daisy, the warm tone dusty apricot palette, Pinkology is for sure the cooler tone palette. It is also the brighter and softer palette in terms of the color story. On the other hand, compared to Moony, which has a dusty purple color story, Pinkology is nowhere as deep nor as cool as Moony. Pinkology is also a palette that was made for the spring and summertime, whereas Moony was released for the fall and winter season, which explains the different vibes that these 2 palettes have. In terms of formulation, while the glitter and shimmer shades in all 3 Holika Holika palettes are comparable in terms of smoothness and pigmentation, the matte shades in Pinkology are not quite as pigmented as the matte shades in the Moony and Daisy palette. At the same time, the Pinkology palette also don't quite have as much fallout because the eyeshadows are also harder pressed than the eyeshadows in the Daisy and Moony palettes. Now that we have compared Pinkology to some palettes from the same brand Holika Holika, it's time to take a look at how Pinkology measures up to other pink palettes from other brands. The first pink palette that I want to compare Pinkology to is Etude House Strawberry Milk. Strawberry Milk is also a pink theme palette with some corally undertone shades. However, the shades in Strawberry Milk are overall milkier and also lighter than the shades in Pinkology. As I also mentioned in my review of the Milky New Year collection from Etude House, the formulation of the eyeshadows in the Strawberry Milk palette is quite disappointing, as the eyeshadows are very hard pressed, so they are hard to swatch and can be quite patchy while not being pigmented enough in my opinion. In this aspect, the Pinkology palette formulation wins hands down. The next palette I want to compare Pinkology to is the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐿𝐸 Wonderland palette from Too Cool for School. Similar to Pinkology, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐿𝐸 Wonderland from Too Cool for School is also a palette that contains both cool and slightly warm undertone shades, and none of the shades in 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐿𝐸 Wonderland fall too far on either side of the spectrum. There are 5 matte shades in 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐥𝐚𝐢𝐸 Wonderland, which are Peach Bloom, Pink Soda, Ginger Peach, Fallen Mauve, and Maybe Brown, and the remaining 4 shades contain 3 glitter shades and 1 matte base with glitter shade. Putting the swatches of Pinkology and 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸 Wonderland side by side, you can see that the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜 Wonderland shades have a more strongly reddish hue to them compared to the shades in Pinkology. Formulation-wise, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜 Wonderland actually have the better formulation, especially when it comes to shades with shimmer and glitter particles. When comparing Blink from Pinkology and Cream Lace from 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜 Wonderland, you can see that while both are nice and smooth glitter shade with very little fallout, Cream Lace have better payoff and look more pronounced than Blink, which is what I like in a glitter formulation. You can also see here that Dreamy Rose is a lot smoother and not as patchy and difficult to swatch as Rosemary from Pinkology. I enjoy the matte formulation in both of the Pinkology and 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜 Wonderland palettes, as both formulations are easy to work with and very smooth to the touch. Overall, I do think the Pinkology palette from Holika Holika is a palette worth purchasing. While the formulation of this palette might not be as pigmented as the formulation of the Daisy and Mooney palette, all the shades are easy to work with and blendable with very little fallout compared to the Daisy and Mooney palette, and I think there has been some improvement, especially with the glitter shades formulation in this palette as well. Furthermore, Pinkology is a pink theme palette that can actually be enjoyed by both warm and cool undertone skins, which is a rarity when it comes to pink palettes. Hit the like button if you have enjoyed this video, and also consider subscribing to my channel for more content on Korean beauty in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.